isn't going very far. Sometimes I just forget.
Hey, we got some ads. How you folks doing today?
Ready to surprise your sweet.
Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well. I think we got Project 1 in the books. Internet flaky? I just rebooted. Oh my goodness. Project 1 due tonight. Hopefully you got it submitted here. I'll take a peek in a second. See what we got number-wise. Hey, Sticks. All right. Let's see. We got 23 in. Okay, I think that's good. I think we only have 24. Oh, out of 29? Huh, that's a lot. Hey, Nav. Hey, Soulstar. All right, so we got most of it in. That looks pretty good. So we'll go over that, and then we'll jump into PHP and MySQL, how we can make them talk to each other, which is super cool. Still another ad. All right, I just want to pause that as soon as it's done. Come on. There we go. All right, now we'll be ready to pick it up some music at break. Hey, 911 J-Rod. How's everybody doing today? Turned out to be a gorgeous day. All right, so again, using PHP with MySQL, we set up the database last week here, and I'm going to keep using that database and look at how we can interact with it in a website here using PHP, which should be a lot of fun. And then Project 2 will be based off of that. So if you've been following along, you should be in really good shape. Again, because there was no prereq of this course needing, or this course didn't have a prereq of having taken the database course. I'm just showed you how to build the database. You can follow along, and we'll just use that one for the project, and we should be okay. Excuse me. And we'll use that database for Project 2 and for Project 3. Okay? So that's sort of the plan. So we kind of like build on this application we're going to start writing here, and we'll learn a couple other cool things, and we'll start implementing those things, and then we'll switch over to the Java side here, where we use the Tomcat, Java server pages, Java servlets. We'll flip over to that, and then we'll get through there, and then we'll talk about the final project. So we are already 20% of the way done, right? 3 weeks are in the books. Here, we're 20% of the way done. Summer is flying by. This is crazy. You know what? I should let NetBeans load while I'm talking, because it takes forever to load, and that way I can chat while it loads in the background. So I know I met with several of you folks here about project number 1, so hopefully it went pretty well. Just a chance to try out a couple things. Nothing too complex coding-wise, but a good chance to kind of practice some of these PHP skills, how we can make variables, how we can have our ifs, else, whatever we needed to do, right, to do this arithmetic and use a form to send some data back and forth. A couple of people asked about using post instead of get. Sure, that was fine. I wasn't too concerned one way or the other. Again, I think get is probably more appropriate because it's a read-only operation. You're not really submitting any sort of data that the server needs to care about. But again, either's fine. All right, let's see. Hey, there we go. Close these. Oh, nope, it's not actually open. Let's close all the projects. And we'll start up a new project. So I want a PHP project here. We're going to call this, how about Project 1? And I'm going to put it in my 2454 repository. Okay. There already is one? Oh, Project 1? Uh-oh. What do I have in my repository? Did I give you guys that already? Where is it here? Documents, GitHub, 2454. No, I don't have a Project 1. It's all just right there. Ah, I need another folder. And we'll call it Project 1. Sure. All right, and it's going to go to localhost :50,080. Right, change that port number here, and I want to copy the files to my htdocs. We'll call this Project 1. I already have a Project 1. How about a tax calculator? I already have that tax calculator. Okay, Project 1, tax calculator. There we go. Project 1 tax calculator. Use a nice name here. So it's going to copy my PHP files to this htdocs folder, but I can keep them in my repository. This should make up relatively well here. Don't need any frameworks. We don't need any composer. We're good to go. All right, so we got our index PHP, where we're going to put a form here, and I actually have it here. I've got my other one. I want to just steal it off of here because I don't have to go write it again. I'm always going to go copy paste forms because I think that's probably easier. Here we go. Look at that. So the form, right, has two fields, two text input fields, one for gross income, one for total deductions. Right, just using a little label here. I'm basically ripping off the book as well. And then a button to submit, which will send to the taxcalculator.php page using Git. Okay, so then I'm going to add a new PHP file called taxcalculator, because that's where it's going to send that data to. And then I get my code block. Okay, so now I need to have my variables here in my code block, and I can get them out of the Git parameters. Right, so I can have a, what do we want to call it, gross income, and equal, and I want to do my input validation. Oh goodness. I'm going to shamelessly copy paste because that's all right. Oh, filter input, I'm sorry. Filter input. You don't need to memorize anything. Go look it up, right? I pulled this out of the book, but I already have it here. So I'm going to filter my input. The Git input, if you were using post, right, you would use post here. The field is looking for is gross income. Remember, it needs to match that one here. So it needs to match the name of the field being passed here. So I'll say gross income, and I want to validate that it's an integer. Most people don't put pennies in here, so I'm going to go with integers, and I think I'll be fine here. And then we'll do the same thing for total deductions. Total deductions. And that time I'm going to find total deductions. Okay, so now I've gotten the two pieces of information that I need out of here. And just for fun, right, you want to kind of get into the habit of doing this iterative development. You want to write a little bit of code and try it. Write a little bit of code and try it. Write a little bit of code and try it. Because if you write the whole thing and then you run it, if you have issues, it's going to be hard to find where you're having issues. So for now, let's just go out and we'll just echo those gross income and deductions here. And I'm just going to steal all this here. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is have a little body here, and I'm just going to echo all sorts of my variables here. Right? We needed to have gross income. Oops, let me call that, yeah, gross income. I did an underscore this time, sure. I think underscore is probably more proper. And then total deductions, probably more proper. And I always use it in the number format just to make it look pretty. You didn't need it. That's optional, so don't worry too much about it. And then the other things we needed is we needed to calculate the adjusted gross income, the taxes owed at 10%, taxes owed at 12%, 22, 24, 32, 35, 37, total taxes owed as a percentage of gross income, and taxes owed as a percentage of adjusted gross income. Oh, all those variables. So we need a bunch of variables, right? No big deal. So we're going to have an adjusted gross income, and I'll try and fix up using the underscores here instead of camel casing. I think that's more proper for PHP style. So adjusted gross income, right? And that's going to be, but I need to check which deduction is bigger, right? So I need to check if my total deductions is less than, and it's 24,800 for a married couple because I'm doing the married brackets. Right? I'll set total deductions equals 24,800. If you had more than that, great, that's perfectly fine, but this is the standard deduction. So then your adjusted gross income is your gross income minus your total deductions. I'm just doing a double click, so if you click on something and double click, it's going to try and highlight the whole word for you, and then you can Control-C, copy, Control-V, paste real quick. Sometimes that's faster than doing the type ahead suggestions, but totally up to you. All right, and then we're going to have all these taxes owed here. So taxes owed at 10%. I'm going to assume it starts at 0. I should probably fix that up here, right? So owed at 10%. There we go. So taxes owed at 10%, 12%, 22, 24, 32, 35, 37. 22, 24, 33, 35, and 37. Does that look right? And then I'll just go update all these ones here. So here's the 10, here's the 12, here's the 22, oops, 22. This is the problem. You gotta be a little bit careful because it's easy to screw up your copy pastes. So 24, 32, 35, and 37. Okay, and then a total taxes owed. Right, assume, again, start at 0 until I know better. That's fine. After we calculate it, it's just the sum of these. And then, oops, that's right, we wanted to change that. So total taxes owed, not owned, owed, O-W-E, owed, owed, sure, why not? Yeah, owed, okay, it looks better there. 33 instead of 32. Okay, that's going to complain then. So 33, it should be 32, right? 32? 32? Thank you. So 32 is right? Okay. Yeah, I had them over here. All right, taxes owed as percentage of gross income. Again, starts at 0 till we know otherwise. And then let's fix this up here. We'll do the owed as percentage of gross income. I'm a big fan of variable names. Right? The variable name should tell you what it represents. Yeah, I'm an adult. I don't laugh at stupid things like that. Right, taxes owed as a percentage of gross income, and taxes owed as a percentage of adjusted gross income. Right, starts at 0 till we know otherwise. Okay. Yeah, some people prefer the underscore, some people prefer the camel casing. I think the PHP is, most people use the underscore, but some people don't, and sure, whatever. All right. I have all the variables, so I should be able to get this working now. I mean, and I haven't done any of the calculations yet for the taxes, but I want to test, hey, can I get the fields from the previous form? And sure, I'm doing my standard deduction check here now. Calculate adjusted gross income, and can I show something? Right? Let's look it up. PHP Style Guidelines, camel case. All right. All right. This link looks good. PHP Fig. Coding standards, tags, X. So functions have, what is that? Is that snake casing? Is that what they call with underscores? Is that snake casing? Namespace, class names. They recommend against camel case or underscore property names. What? Oh, avoids recommending. Okay. Sure. Yeah, if you're working, you're going to use your company standards anyway. So I don't care too much. I just, pick one and stick with it. If you mix and match, then ugh. So I don't actually know if this is like an official one or what this repo is, but it looks official. I don't know. phpfig.org. PHP Framework Interop Group. Okay, I will assume that is pretty official. So they don't care. Sure, why not? Look at that camel case. How cute. All right, anyway, so we're going to try it, right? I want to use Firefox here. So let's see if I can get the income and deductions passed through and check for the standard deduction. Let's see what we get. Oops, I didn't start anything. That would help if I started my Tomcat or my Apache server. Let's start that. No, not now, Firefox, but thanks. Try again. Nope, that ran the wrong one. Project 1, properties, run. Oh, didn't we change that? I thought we changed it. Maybe we didn't change it. It needs to be Project 1 tax calculator. That would help. right? It should match the directory name that where we're copying the source to. So that's how they match, right? Wherever you're putting this folder, that becomes the path. So web server / folder in htdocs. All right, we'll try that one more time. There we go. Okay, so let's put some numbers in here, right? Would null work instead of 0? I think you'd have problems dividing, but I could be wrong. So let's say 100,000 with 1,000 in deductions. We'll calculate. Look, it gave me the 24,080. Here's an adjusted gross income. Everything else is blank. Okay, sure, but the formatting looks pretty at least. We're in pretty good shape here. So I'm able to pass things. I see their get parameters here, which is nice. So right, you can just use this URL and you can just hand it to somebody. That way they don't actually have to go and do their own form, right? You could even do it on the exact same page. You could have this, and then if there are the parameters, it could calculate it down below. That way they could change it kind of on the same page. Again, lots of different ways of building web applications, right? I'm partial to what's going to be easy here. So maybe it'd be nice to do it on one page, but again, passing back and forth is fine. Not too big of a deal. Okay, so we're good so far. You folks holding up okay? Nothing too astonishing, right? I did a little bit of copy paste. I'm sorry, but this is, we're just echoing with number formats. So it's here's the span, here's an echo, concatenating with the number format. All right, cool. So now we need to do the math, right? For assuming everything is 0 until we know otherwise. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out how much taxes you owe at each bracket. Okay? So I'm going to, again, just cheat for a second here. So I'm going to grab these variables here and put them in my tax calculator because I don't want to have to type them all out. So what I have here is I have nice, pretty, I'll give it a format, variable names for the start of each bracket. And again, these are the married numbers. If you did the individual bracket numbers, they'd look different for you. That's okay. But this is where the bracket starts. And again, I want to use variables here. These they look like constants essentially, right? It's nothing making it constant, but putting in all uppercase is that notice to me like, hey, don't go change this. Similar to what you might have seen with constants in Java. You can make it a constant variable, and you don't change it. So we'll have the start of the bracket at each one of these numbers. It's always a good habit to not use what we'll call magic numbers. So if your code has a number somewhere and it's not been assigned to a variable name, it's kind of magic because you don't really know what that number represents, right? And then if you have to type it more than once, the odds of you typoing it are going to increase, right? Because we're actually going to use this number several times, right? So the less I have to type it, the better. And then next year, when the tax brackets change, I can go just change a couple variables here, and my program still works. Yeah, all caps for constants. Yep. Okay, so I've got variable names here that I can use. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be tracking another variable for me for fun. So I'm going to have an income to be taxed. And I'm going to do this so that I can avoid using else statements, because I like to think it's clever. Sure. But, it's a great example. You can use more variables, right? You don't have to just be limited to gross income. And I think it's going to simplify some things later. I'll show you. So the income to be taxed starts as the adjusted gross income. Now, I can't use adjusted gross income because I'm going to be changing this number. Okay? And I'll show you that in a second. So it starts here. Then I want to start at the top. I want to say, hey, if your income to be taxed is greater than the start of the 37% bracket, well, you're going to owe some taxes at 37%. Right? So if you make more than this bracket, every dollar above that number, you pay 37% of. So your taxes owed at 37% becomes your income to be taxed minus the start of the bracket. I don't know why my tab didn't work there. Times 0.37. Now, sure, this is kind of a magic number, so maybe I should change that. I'm not going to feel too bad about it because I only use it one time, and like 37%. Sure. Like, I don't want to put a variable name for 37%. That seems a little silly. And these numbers can change anyway. I don't know. I feel a little bad, but that's okay. Right, so if you make more than the start of that bracket, you pay 37% of every dollar above that amount. Right, that's what this is doing, that subtraction here. If every dollar above that, you pay 37 cents on the dollar. There's no limit on this, right? Every dollar above, they're taking 37 cents off of. Okay? Then what happens is your income to be taxed gets reduced. I'm going to set it to the start of the bracket. So you've paid your taxes now on every dollar above this number. Now you still need to pay taxes on the rest of this number. And now all my if statements are super easy here. I just go copy paste here and I change it from 37 to 35. 37 to 35. 35. 35. 35. My goodness. So we could probably use some sort of loop as well. And use arrays, but we haven't actually really talked about arrays. So if you looked ahead and used a loop and used arrays, very cool. That's great. We don't talk about that until arrays here. So sure, right? No big deal. And again, it's not terrible this way. And we just keep on working our way down. So 35 and then 32, and just make sure you replace everything here. So every dollar above that number, you're paying 32 cents on the dollar on. Hey, don't feel bad. I mean, I've given this sort of project several times. I'm quite fond of this because no one understands how taxes work. And I think I told you folks, I even had that kid who's like, my dad says you're wrong. Yeah. So I mean, this is a good sort of practical project, right? You get to learn something else while you're actually doing some code, rather than just, I don't know, write the BMI calculator. That's silly. My dad could beat up your dad. Actually, my dad got pretty fit. They retired. He retired. My mom's close to retiring, and they bought a farm west of Ann Arbor, and they're raising goats on the farm, and all sorts of vegetables and flowers and other fun stuff. They got like 40 acres or something. So he, having taken care of the goats now, has gotten pretty fit. Hauling food and water for them all the time. They never got the water running out to the barn. Something with the water line died. So he just hauls water from the house over to the barn every day, carrying, 2 5-gallon buckets. So I was never able to successfully arm wrestle my father. So I'm positive I would not be able to more now after him taking care of the goats. But anyway, 32, now we go down to 24, right? 24, 24, 24, 24. Okay, and 22, 22, 22, 22, 22, 22. Thanks for the hydration reminder there, Mark. I appreciate it. Yes, I can definitely out-type him, for sure. Why is it hard to have a conversation with a goat? I don't know, but I'm hoping this is a joke. I'm super excited. Because they're always butting in. I like it. I like it. So, yeah, they actually they knocked over one of my kids when the goats got excited. And they're herd animals, right? So, like, if one goat gets spooked and starts running, they're all like, oh no, there's something scary, and they all run. So it can shift pretty quick. But apparently one of their favorite snacks is like this branch that grows. I don't know, some like bush that grows there. So my dad cut off a couple branches of it and brought it over, and they like took this, big bunch of branches here, like 30 goats, maybe a minute. And it was down to, eating the bark off the branches that fast. And they just followed him around. So that's how he gets him to go places if he wants to. Yeah, so the start of the 10% bracket is just 0. But again, this is a good sanity check, because if your gross income is less than the standard deduction, you're going to be at a negative adjusted gross income. We don't want to tell you that you owe negative taxes, although it sort of works like that because we have tax credits and all sorts of other complicated things. But again, this is a very simplified version of the tax calculator. This is just playing with the brackets. So this is probably good to make sure that, hey, if you had more than 0, great. If you didn't have more than 0, we're just stop at 0. Okay? So we got all those calculated. Now we need to do our total taxes. So my total taxes owed is equal to this one, plus 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 this one. That should have been a cut. Trying to cut some of those, but okay, sure. All right, that's probably there, and then a semicolon. Okay, that's a little bit off with my formatting. I'm feeling bad now. It should look a little prettier. Sure. Okay, close enough, right? So that's my total taxes owed. What does it not like? You should use only one assignment to use to a variable to avoid overwriting. Oh, sure. No, I mean, starts at 0. That's fine. That's not a very helpful hint. Now my taxes owed as percentage of gross income. That is my total taxes owed divided by gross income. Hey, thanks so much for following, Grogster. What does having income to be taxed do instead of just using adjusted? Because I'm going to echo the adjusted gross income, I can't change it. And what I'm doing here is I'm subtracting each time. So if you pay taxes at a higher bracket, I say, okay, what's left over now, start down here. So otherwise, I'd have to do more arithmetic and, you know, make sure that if you're greater than the bracket, use the bracket. If you're not greater than the bracket, then you use your number. So I think it simplifies some of this logic to say, okay, this is what's left here. And then sure, you'll hit the next if. Okay, and then taxes owed as a percentage of adjusted gross income is, you guessed it, the total taxes owed. Total taxes owed divided by adjusted gross income. Okay, and it's getting a little bit wide there, I'm sorry, but again, my font's a little large here so that it shows up better on the screen. So on your font, you should be fine, right? And if not, you want to bump it down one. Doesn't matter, right? Again, it's considered bad form if someone has to scroll to the right to see your code. That's why you get this funky bar here. At some point, that was a standard. Now we have wider screen monitors and that sort of thing. But again, you want to avoid making people go through trouble when they look at your code. Okay, so that should be it. Let's give it a run. Let's see. So let's do 100,000, and we'll do like 1,000 for our deduction. We get a adjusted gross income of 75,000 or so. We are not higher than the 12% bracket cap. Right, 12% bracket cap for married brackets, at least, goes up to 80,000 here. Okay, sure. So we're not paying any taxes above that. Total taxes owed as a percentage of gross income. That is wrong, right? Pretty sure that's wrong. Yeah, because it's a percentage here, I should multiply by 100. That's what I didn't do. So that number then, right, we'll do times 100. Because I'm going to display it as a percentage here. There we go. Let's give that a run. And then what's cool, I can just refresh my page. Right, because it's a get here, it's not a post, I can just refresh. Hey, Grogster, yeah, for sure. All the VODs here are on Twitch or Xclam YouTube if you want to check out all the exports on YouTube that will last longer than 45 days because I'm too lazy to highlight them in Twitch. All right, cool. So that looks a lot better, right? So 8%, 8.6% or so, right, should be 8,000 something divided by 100,000. Oh, yeah, right there. That's an easy division, right? 100,000 easy. Off of adjusted gross income, it's a little bit more, right? 11% of your adjusted gross income. Great. All right, so now let's try some different numbers. Let's go for 1 million. And let's do, say, 100,000 for the deduction. So it leaves 900,000 of income to be taxed. Right? So again, we're paying the max at all of these brackets. So this is essentially the max number, right? Because you either pay no taxes at the bracket, you pay some taxes at the bracket, or you pay the max taxes at the bracket. Okay? And now this one here is every dollar above the start of that bracket, I had to pay 37% of. But in terms of my gross income, I only paid 27%. So just because someone lands in the 37% tax bracket does not mean they pay 37% of their income in taxes. And again, this is just the federal income tax. There's also Social Security tax. There's also the Medicare tax. There's also state income tax. There's also property taxes. There's also, vehicle, all sorts of road taxes, gas taxes. So again, yeah, maybe they do as a, total taxes, they might pay a certain amount. But in terms of federal income tax, that's specifically less than their top bracket here. Okay, and all sorts of crazy things go into the tax code. This is oversimplified with how deductions actually work and whether or not things are credits or deductible. But again, we don't really care. We're not writing TurboTax. We're just trying to take, all right, this is how they work and this is how we can show some information here. I've yet to have anybody understand before the assignment that everyone pays 10% of their first $19,000 for married, or $9,000 for individuals, whatever the number is, right? So I think it's a fun assignment because I'm weird like that. But all right, so it's looking okay so far. So again, we kind of want to sanity check it. If any code that's worth writing is worth testing and making sure we did right. All right, so we put in the numbers. They look okay. Yeah, the percentages look right. We could do some hand calculations if we wanted to. So we could say, okay, well, the start of that bracket is 62,050. Okay, so let's take the 900,000 minus 62,050 is 277. So that's the money above the bracket here that I should be paying 37% of. 1,002, 841.50. Looking good. All right, so we can do those checks ourselves as well and make sure that it's looking correct. I think we could calculate the maxes for each of these if we wanted to. Not a big deal. Lots of ways to go about that, right? So the max of the 35% bracket is this number minus this number times 35%, right? Because you're paying every dollar between here and here at 35%. So we can do 622,050 minus 414,700. Right, 207,350 at 35% times 0.35 is 72,572. Is that what we have here? 72,572. Cool. So we paid the max. And again, you could calculate the max for each of these if you wanted to. Right? Maybe not interesting, but weirdly, like the 32% bracket is a less tax amount than the 24% bracket. So like it's a higher tax percentage, but because the bracket range is smaller, you're paying less taxes overall at 32% than you did at 24%. Again, just a fun little fact there. Like some of these are kind of interesting to see how they all shake out like that. Okay? You'd expect them to go up as the percentages go up but the bracket ranges aren't super consistent. Like, if you want to compare this here, because it's fun, right? We can. Money Chimp tax brackets. If you want to compare, there's actually a marriage penalty, right? So if you're single, starting at $518,000, you pay 37% of every dollar. But if you happen to be a married couple and both of you are making more than $500K here, you're paying 37% at $622,000. It's not double, right? The 10% bracket here is double. Right, 19, right, from 9.8 to 19, doubled. From 40 to 80, doubled, right, for single. 85 to 170, doubled. Okay, so up through the 24%, you're fine. Once you hit the 32% bracket here, 163, oh, okay, that one's doubled too. 32% is doubled, I'm sorry. So that one's doubled. It's this one here, 207. Oh, no, even that one's double. Okay. I think it was different earlier on. So you only hit the penalty then when you make, right, this number was not doubled. The 207 was doubled. 207 to 414. So you start paying 37% much sooner as a married couple than you do as a single individual, if you were both single making the same money. So thankfully, it used to be worse, the marriage penalty there for taxes, but thankfully it's only for above 518 or above 622,000 here. So I think Many people don't have to worry about that. But, possibly if you have two doctors or lawyers or some sort of, high earning professionals in a married filing here, they'll hit that penalty. But okay, sure. This is, again, we're okay. Tax policy is fun and all, but that's not the point here. So questions about the project. This all makes sense. And again, if yours looks completely different, that's okay. I think most people start at the bottom and they work their way up, which I think ends up making more work for you. So I'm a fan of let's start at the top and then go down. And I think that simplifies it a little bit. But again, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with it. I did have one student one year, only one. They came up with a loop. And they started with adjusted gross income, and they looped as long as that was greater than 0. Let's go. And then dollar by dollar, they took either 10 cents, 12 cents, 22 cents, 24 cents, 32 cents, 35 cents, or 37 cents, and added it to the taxes owed. And then it essentially was an income to be taxed, and they would take it down by 1. So it was just a big while loop. And it would add up all of the pennies for every dollar that you owed. I thought it was really clever. I liked it, but I would not have thought of doing that. And that, that's part of the fun of programming. That's why I think programming is so cool, because it really is a combination of art and science. Right? There's this creative aspect that goes into, well, how can I make the computer solve a problem? How can I take a big problem and break it down into smaller and smaller and smaller chunks to make it simple enough to make the computer do it? Because computers are stupid. Right? Computers do only what we tell them to do, and nothing more and nothing less. And they'll happily do the wrong thing if we tell it to do the wrong thing. So the hard part of computer programming is figuring out how to solve problems in a simple enough way to make the computer do it. Right, and that's the fun part. Right, and everyone is going to approach it differently. So that is also why it's so much more fun to work in a team, where you have multiple people who can kind of discuss ideas and throw out, well, here's an approach I want to take, or maybe I want to do it this way, and you can kind of collaborate and come up with the best possible solution. Because there are lots of solutions for sure. Rating which one is best is also a little bit tricky. Typically we go back to performance. Whichever one performs best, we'll say is probably the best solution. But there's also some, is your code readable? Right? There's a lot of people who have all sorts of weird fun trying to make the shortest code possible. I think that's just terrible. But that's okay. That's just me. I think code is meant for people. It has to follow the syntax rules so that the computer can understand it, but code's for people, right? Because ideally, what's going to happen is you folks are all going to go get jobs as developers, software engineers, programmers, whatever you want to call yourself somewhere. You're going to write an amazing application, and then you're going to move on to bigger and better things, but people are still going to be using your amazing application, so it'll be someone else's job to have to go and maintain it and make little bug fixes if you had bugs, or make changes to it, add new features, whatever you have to do, get it ready for the next version of this platform. Whatever work that has to happen, someone else will be doing that. It won't be your problem anymore. And you want to leave something that is nice and easy and readable and discoverable, that the next developer who works on it is going to think you're awesome. Right? You don't want them having to be upset with you. That's no fun. Yeah, it's crazy Lambda functions, for sure. Those can get nuts. I've learned to read Lambda functions. I'm kind of a big fan of them in C#, but it took quite a while here. And sometimes they just confuse me, and they're really hard to debug too, which drives me nuts. But, okay. All right, so let me go commit this to GitHub here. So I'll put this out here in case you were curious about the solution. Stack Overflow does. 2454. Yeah, definitely. You don't. If you're paid to write it, you're not keeping the rights to it, unless you are under some sort of weird contract. But typically as a regular employee who gets a W-2. Right? You're just a regular employee. You're not an independent contractor or anything. You're writing code for the company. It's the company's code. It's not yours. There we go. So project 1, we'll commit that. And we're good to go. All right. Awesome. So, and hopefully using that rubric, you folks got a feel for how you did, on the scores. I'll be working on grading those. Yeah, I can't imagine that your contract wouldn't state that your work is owned by them, but, I mean, theoretically, your contract could say something different, but who knows, right? Actually, maybe it depends. So when I worked at the health system, we had a vendor for software, and then we contracted with their professional services team to write custom code. We had rights to it, but they went and sold it to other organizations as well. But sure, okay, that's neither here nor there. All right, so project 1 in the books, feeling good so far. I'm actually going to leave these here because I want to copy paste a bunch of stuff. Yeah, non-compete clause. I've heard bad things about those clauses for non-compete clauses and whether or not they're actually enforceable. But I am not a lawyer, so for sure. Yep, definitely not a lawyer. And yeah, you typically can't take your work to a competitor. And was it Uber? Which one of the car companies got in trouble? Or Waymo? Or I forget. One company sued the other company because one of the senior engineers left and took all their proprietary tech to the other company. That was such a mess. What a giant mess. And then you get actual corporate espionage where people go and hire in specifically to steal corporate technology and bring it back to their home corporation. I'm not going to point fingers or anything, but China. It's pretty common for them to try and steal our technology, which is crazy. Just a crazy world. I'm actually really glad I don't work on anything that important. I don't know if I could deal with the stress of that. I had one of my coworkers used to work in defense contracting, and they were not allowed to have a personal cell phone in the office. So they couldn't make calls. So they had to leave the building, go out to their car to make a personal phone call on their cell phone because they couldn't take it in the building. All sorts of weird things. My brother-in-law in the Air Force says the USB drives don't work on any of their computers anywhere because the risk is too high that someone will just put a bunch of files on a USB drive and walk off with it. Which, sure, I mean, I guess that's a risk, for sure. A dad joke, you got it. Oh man, I just had it. My son has my phone. He's watching YouTube at the moment. They have some crazy kids videos on YouTube Kids. But I just had this dad joke. Oh, what was it? Oh, yeah. So you guys follow the stock market and all this nonsense with Wall Street Bets and GameStop and now AMC and these other stocks that we call meme stocks. And we're getting all sorts of interest in them. That actually made for a fun project. We did a stock buying application in the winter semester because stocks were hot, and that was a fun topic. We're going back to something boring now, but that's okay. So anyway, I got a tip from Wall Street Bets to invest in the Barilla company. They make pasta. Oh, pretty cool, Soulstar. That's awesome. I was, I thought about buying in, but I was too scared that it was going to crash. As long as you're having fun and it's play money, go for it. But never put money into things you can't afford to lose, for sure. So anyway, I got a tip about nice sticks. That's awesome. A tip about Barilla, and I should invest money there. So I put all of my savings, took everything that I could liquidate, put it into Barilla stock. And I tell you, it was worth every penny. Okay, that bought back in March. Very cool. Oh, Noobster, you sold at 35. Hopefully you still had a gain there at least. You can commiserate. There's some fun stocks chat channels and stuff. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're having fun and it's money you can afford to lose, go for it. But don't do anything stupid, for sure. Yeah, yeah, if you could have sold it double for sure. That hurts, but you know, it's nice to have gains. And a similar situation with a stock I got a tip on in February. Another one of those meme stocks. Oh, is that Trey? Is that his emote? That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's a lot of fun. As long as you're playing with money you can afford to lose. Very cool. Yeah, I used to. I think I had Trey's emotes like briefly, but I haven't subbed again. I'm a terrible pleb here on Twitch sometimes. Yeah, I mean, any gains are good, Soulstar, right? You gotta be happy with any gains. Anyway, so we're getting off track. We're getting off track here. Let's go back to PHP. Excuse me. I'd love to do the stock programs again, but you know, all my winter videos and winter code is still online, so I can't give you projects using the stock stuff, but it was fun. Yeah, I bought into AMC and then I just sold it. I only put like $100 in, so I think I lost like $50 on it. And I was like, oh, it's never coming back. And that was wrong. That was wrong. But you know, it was $50, and that way I could say I was part of it. I lost some money, or I made some money, and then I lost money on GameStop as well. But that fear of missing out is real. That's serious. That fear of missing out is, oh man, like you just want to be a part of it, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's legit. For sure. All right, so let's start up a new project here. Let's call this one our, what is this? This is our college registration. I'm going to put this in my 2454 folder. And again, I want to call it /college registration again here. So I got to give it another name. So when I make repos for you guys, they're going to start empty and you won't have to give it another folder. This is just because I'm putting all the project in one repository. Yeah, so after the due date, for sure, you're welcome to share code after the due date. Not a problem. But yeah, no issues there. Before the due date, yes. Obviously, that I would consider going way too far if you're sharing code with each other. So the idea with your learning partner is you are welcome to discuss. Discussion's great. You can come discuss in the Discord channel too. Questions are great, or like, hey, I think I might do this approach, that sort of thing. And I tried to take the questions I got from people and post them back. I don't know if I did a good job of that or not. I think I had a tip or two in there for, make sure, one of these three things happens. I feel like I posted it. I wanted to go check now. Okay. Let's see if I'm crazy or not. Let's see. Yeah. So when someone had asked, like, someone else was just asking questions. That's awesome. So questions are great. Discussion is great. Bring it to the Discord. Talk with your learning partner. But when you start taking notes and like actually writing down someone else's code, we've gone too far with that copying. And then we're getting into that realm of academic dishonesty or academic integrity issues, right? So discussion, fantastic. We'll keep it at the discussion level, okay? All right, so this is our college registration database. We are going to have our sources here. We're going to copy them to localhost 50,080. Again, I changed the port number. If you didn't, don't worry about it. That's all fine. /college registration. And we're going to copy to htdocs /college registration. So if I put my sources into the college registration folder here, I can find them at this URL of college registration. Right? Go next, and finish. Cool. I probably could just click finish instead of keep clicking next all the time, couldn't I? Another fun note. Hopefully this was in the recording from week 2 when I lost power. That was like the intro to PHP, if, else, while loops, that sort of thing. HTML comments show up in a response, right? PHP comments. No, goodness. PHP / comment. PHP comments do not. So if I just run this now, here, comment in PHP, and I view my page source, I see this comment. I don't see the PHP comment. So that's a good thing to note there. So we'll just, we don't really need a PHP here. We'll just say, come to our awesome school. Please give us the monies, and we will give you paper. Sure. Okay. Welcome to awesome school. Give us the money. We'll give you paper. That's the deal here in academia, right? Okay. I'm making fun of it. Hopefully that's okay, and I really hope you don't feel like that's actually the case. But you're welcome to let me know. I'm happy to get feedback one way or the other. So we'll start. So it takes me a while to grade stuff. I try and get it back within a week of when it was due. So ideally, before next Thursday, 6 p.m., I'll have the scores in. I'm going to try super hard to stay up to date because it totally sucked last semester when I got behind, and then I had like 150 projects to grade at the end of the semester, and I just wanted to cry. That was awful. But that's my own fault too. So life is hard. Life is hard. I get it. So I'll do my best to get things back within a week or so. Oh, and speaking of that, I finally remembered to post a quiz for you folks. I kept forgetting. I had the power outage, and I forgot to post the other quiz. So there is a quiz now for database stuff from Chapter 3. I put it out till June 10th, so that's next week, 11:59 p.m. So there's a week for that one. I'll also post a Chapter 4 quiz. If you think that's unfair, that I'm giving you 2 in a week, let me know. I'm open to being flexible on some of those due dates, because we're also going to have project number 2, which is due on the 17th. So we've got a project with 2 weeks to work on, we'll have 2 quizzes, and then the week after that we'll also get another quiz. They were supposed to be every week, and I screwed up, so I'm sorry. So if you need some flexibility, let me know. I'm open to that, but they're relatively short. It's just 10 questions, and they're this true-false format. So if you haven't had my quizzes before, this is going to look really funny. But if the answer is false, you have to correct it to be true. So here's a statement. If it's true, you just put true. If it's false, you need to correct it to make it a true statement, right? So fields that uniquely identify a row in a table are referred to as the primary key. Is that true or false? If it's true, you put in true. If it's false, you fix it. Right, tables in relation to the database use index column to refer to the primary key entry in another table to create the reference relationship. Is that true or false? Right? And if it's false, you correct the statement. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's just 10 questions. It's pretty quick. It's open book, open notes, open internet. I'm assuming your citing or your sources are the book and me. Okay? If you find an answer somewhere else, you've got to cite your source. Okay? But if you're getting it from the book, fantastic. You do need to quote if you're taking a direct quote out of the book. Right? You still need to get to properly cite a direct quote, but just in terms of like, hey, I paraphrased from the book, or I paraphrased from the things Eric says, perfectly fine. I'm assuming that's the case. Okay? So don't worry about it that way. But if you're getting an answer from a different source or a direct quote, I do need a citation. You shouldn't have to Google these things. Like, it should be from the text and from me. Like, the idea is the textbook is your main reference. I'm giving you the highlights. I'm trying to give you examples. I'm trying to give you things that are not in the book so that you can see the book's examples as a second way. Because if I just showed you what the book says, that that's like reading to you. I read to my kids. I don't need to read to you folks. That's not all that beneficial. Okay? That's my goal. So 10 questions. As long as you submit by the due date, you're fine. Start it, come back to it, close it, come back to it, open. There's no time limit aside from the due date on this. Okay? And the goal is to have one of those every week. And I'm sorry I screwed up. I didn't have one the first week. We had the syllabus quiz, sure. And then the power outage just screwed things up. And then I forgot to post it last week earlier. So we've got extra time. This was last week's content. So we should be in pretty good shape there. Okay. Now here's our awesome school. Fantastic. So what we want to do here, coming to PHP, doesn't show up in the HTML response. Sure. Is that fine to say? Fine. HTML comment does show up in the client response. Someone actually had a cute, they found -- exclam. Oh goodness. Dash. Thank you. Okay. I think it was some government's website had a comment like, if you're seeing this, please come work for us. I just thought that was kind of cute. Like, why is someone looking at our source code? And if you're looking at our source, or like the actual HTML source, you're probably the kind of person who knows this sort of stuff, and please come work for the government. So we definitely need good people in government work. It's unfortunate that it doesn't pay as much as industry, and that people have to sacrifice to go do public service, essentially. But sure, okay. Everybody likes different things. So, it's already 7 o'clock. Holy cow. Why don't we take a quick break before we actually get into the database stuff, and then we can cruise through how we make PHP talk to our database and get stuff out of the database, send stuff to the database. So we'll be doing forms that post, right? The idea with that post request is that you're submitting something. With a get, like, hey, give me the list of classes. That's perfectly fine as a get. Not a problem. We're okay to refresh that as many times as we want. It's not going to hurt anything. But like, if you register for the class, you probably are posting that information. You don't want to like register 3 times and have to pay 3 times. And that would make no one happy, right? All right. So we'll take a quick break, put some more music back on, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes or so. Let's say 7:10, and we can go from there. All right, folks. See you in a minute.
Anything we're ready for, bet you never know. Bet you never know. Nah, go take no talk, I beg no pardon, that's for sure. Bet you never know. Bet you never know. We are like the badness, we are like the globe. Bet you never know. Bet you never know. We are like the badness, we are like the globe. Bet you never know. Say we have the power, but there's things we touch the road. Tell them say we ready, click them on the cut she load. Should know say we no regular. Anything we ready for. Bet you never know. Bet you never know. Nah, go take no talk, I beg no pardon, that's for sure. Bet you never know. Bet you never know. We are like the badness, we are like the globe. Bet you never know. Bet you never know. We are like the badness, we are like the globe. Darling, I've been tempted by the darkness, telling me that I should throw it all away. Fight so hard, my heart is hardly helpless. Found myself so desperate on my knees to break. And I hear the voice of an angel telling me not to leave.
Hey, folks. How's everybody doing today? Oh, I didn't ask that question. This is break time. That's right. Sorry. All right. And we're back. All right, so now we're going to talk about PHP and databases, finally. It's super fun. We'll probably be done with breaks. We can, if we're not done by 8 or so, we can power through a little bit longer. Probably don't need a whole second 5-10 minute break or anything. So, all right. So for PHP to connect to a database, we have to do a couple things first. So we're going to come back to the MySQL admin here and launch that PHP MyAdmin page. Come on, PHP MyAdmin. Okay. And we want to set up a user that our program is going to use that has limited access. You don't want to give them root access. That root account, that is that default account we were using for PHP MyAdmin. You don't want them using that because then they have access to everything. Right, so we're going to come to user accounts and we're going to make a new user account. So last time I had this stocks one, right? So we're going to add a new user account and we want the username here to be, we'll call this, I don't know what, college program? Sure, college program. Connect on any host, perfectly fine. Let's give it a password here. So I'm just going to say test because that's super easy and I don't want to have to re-forget it or like have to retype it or anything. So just test. That's not a good password. I know that, but I just want to make it easy here. Okay. SQL authentication. Don't bother generating a password here. And we want to only grant specific permissions here to one database. So we don't want any global privileges. Right? We don't want a database for that user. We're going to come back here in a minute and give them the correct permissions. So we're going to create the user here. Okay, we'll say go. Oh, goodness. That looks bad. What? All right, that's bad. That shouldn't happen. All right, so this MySQL table is the actual MySQL database itself. Here, let's see if we can go look at users. The DB table here, let's see if we can find some users. No, there's a stocks account. There's not that other account. Okay. No, it is sad. Huh. All right, let's try that again then. That's weird. Go home. Go back to user accounts. Make another user. Try it one more time here. Oh no, we do have college program. There we go. There we go. All right. Edit privileges. Okay, so we just can't see it here. That's weird. I wonder if that's not going to work very well. Huh. That might not work very well. That's okay. Let's see if it's going to work for us. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh my goodness. Did I just break it? Maybe it's better now. Okay, cool. I gotta go copy paste this here. I can never remember the right commands to run, so I'm just gonna go steal it out of our textbook real quick. You run a specific command to give the user permissions to that database. So we only want them to have access to the college database here. Let's see. This might be it here. Didn't have the page bookmarked. This online book is a little bit obnoxious here, which is sad. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. What do we need to do here? Oh, I'm not seeing every page. My goodness. Maybe one of these days I'll remember how to work this. Okay, so there we go. So it's a grant, select, insert, delete, update. So we're saying, hey, you are allowed permissions of select, insert, delete, and update on college database, all the tables, to college program at localhost. Oh, no, sorry. Grant on, yeah, to college program at localhost. Let's try that. Oh. And, okay, so using the UI is so much easier. This is obnoxious to have to try and do this. Dot star. There we go. Is that better? Nope. Ugh. Index for table DB is corrupt. Try and repair it. That is no good. Here, why is my database so sad? Index is... Is there... Okay. See if we can't fix some of these here. Index is... It's... No. I want to repair. I want to repair. No partitioning. This might do it. Cool. Try this one. This is just updating the index here. It's dropping it, this DDL. Again, don't worry too much about it here. Sure. But let's see if that makes us any happier now. All right, cool. So we got college. Let's go take a look at our users again. Oh, thanks, one. Ooh, shoot, now we have both. Okay, that's fine. I'll edit this one. See if editing works here now. Hey, there we go. Editing works. But let's get rid of this guy here. We don't want this one. Nope. So let's delete this localhost one. Remove selected user accounts. Go. I want this one with the star here because it should be. And localhost should work, but just in case, the wildcard's a little better here. So I'm going to edit their permissions, their privileges, not for global, but for a specific database. So for the specific database, I want the college database here. Right, we want to add, what is it here? Escaped. Yep, so we'll add select, insert, delete, and update for the college database. And now we should see that the college database, oh, no, right there. We can do all the data thing. We don't want any of these structure things, any of this administration thing. There we go. So grant select, insert, update, delete on college, .star to college program at %. That's what we wanted. There we go. All right, all of that now so that we have a user who can only select, insert, update, delete. Right, so that way in my PHP code, I can have a user that will only be able to do those CRUD operations, to create, to read, to update, and delete. Okay, we don't want them to have those other permissions to like create tables and drop tables and do sorts of other sort of database administration-y sort of things. Okay, that's no good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually connect to a database. So we're going to use the data source here. It's this funny looking string, and it's okay. Don't worry too much about it here, but we say this is a MySQL. Host is localhost, semicolon. The DB name here is college. Okay, so we're telling it this is where to go find the database. It's localhost college database. Then we're going to have a username. This is a college program, right? And we're going to have a password. This test. So again, don't use good passwords, right? This is terrible because we're going to put this in source control. There are better ways to do this, I promise. It's a little bit beyond the scope of our class, though, to look at some of those better ways of doing password management. Okay, so just know this is bad, and we feel bad. We're not doing better, but we don't have time. Okay, so apologies for the cop out there, but putting a password into source control is bad, just bad, right? Because the idea with source control is we share it, and it's not public, but it's out there on GitHub, and I have access to it. So please don't give me passwords. Just use a stupid test password, please. Okay? All right, and then we make a database connection here. So we'll call this the database. It's a new PDO. So PDO is our it's the PHP data objects. So a PHP data object it's a built-in way of connecting and working with data. And what you have to give it is the data source. You have to get data source. You have to give it the username. And you have to give it the password. Okay. Now we'll have access to this. Hey, Brian. Thanks for coming on by. So now we should be able to connect to the database. Okay. Using PDO. Now, the problem is sometimes bad things can happen, especially with databases here. So what we typically want to do is we usually want to try and put this into a try block. So if you have gone far enough, and why do I not remember what the prereq was for this class? So it was the prereq 2151, where we would have talked about exceptions already, and a try block makes sense. Let me go double check. Or it might have been 1500 or 21. Yeah, so if you only took 1500 and you didn't have me, you probably didn't talk about exceptions. So that makes no sense. If you had 2151, great. The idea with this try block is we're saying a bad thing could happen. If it does, catch the exception. Remember when your program crashes, you get the big red line, the big red errors, that stack trace, and like, hey, it failed here for whatever reason. Most of the time you'd get like an invalid index exception and it would crash if you're working with arrays, that sort of thing, or like invalid conversions, those sorts of things. Try catch is our way of saying, please don't crash. So we want to catch an exception. We're just going to call it E here, and we're going to echo the error message. So we'll say, hey, I've got an error message. Is E get message? Oh, sorry, $E here. E get message. That syntax is going to look really funny. Again, we haven't done a whole lot yet where this arrow syntax makes a lot of sense. Don't worry about it. And we're just getting the message from the exception, and then we can echo. I don't know, here's a little paragraph. There's an error message. Yeah, double quotes, right? There we go. Error message. And our paragraph. And the quote, semicolon. So if an error happens, we're going to catch that exception and print out a nice, pretty message here. Right? So something bad might happen. Otherwise, great, we're good to go. And we can say, hey, connection successful. Sure. Again, echoing in up here is a little bit ugly, but don't worry too much about it. Like, we probably want to put it down here, but again, we're just sort of kind of exploring at the moment. Okay. So we should be able to see if this will run. So this is my new project here. Connection was successful. It didn't crash, so we were able to connect with that username and password. That's our first test, right? Does this username and password work here? So again, we probably don't actually need to keep that in now. Right? That was just, is it going to work for us? Otherwise, we'll get an error message. So if I mess up the password here, and I go run it, I'm going to get, oh, here's the error message. SQL state access denied for user college program at localhost using password. That's not the password. It's saying it, yes, you are using a password. Right? There's other interesting connection methods. We're just doing the basic password connection. So there's our message here. Right? So it gives you, by echoing that, you get a nice error message at least, which is cool. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually start working with our data. Okay? So, again, I'm just going to do it inside the try block because other exceptions might happen. Okay? So we're going to write a query here. Again, we just call it query. It doesn't have to be named query. It's just, that's our common syntax here. We're going to say select star from courses. Or was it course or courses? This is why I'd have to go look. So go look at the college database. Go look at the tables. Course. It was just called course. Okay, so course. So we'll say select star from course is the query. And then what we do is we create a statement. So we make a statement here that is going to run this. We take the database and we say prepare query. Prepare the query. It gets it ready to run. Say, hey, database connection. Right? This is the database connection. This PDO that we did here for Python, PHP, different P, PHP data objects. Get ready to run this query. Okay? Then we execute it. Statement. Execute. So you're going to write the query, you're going to prepare it, and you're going to execute it. Okay? Then what we get back is a bunch of results. Well, I don't know how many items we're going to get back, right? When I work with the database, it depends what data's in there. Right? There might be a lot, there might be a little. So what I can do here is I can get the first row if I want. So maybe I'll have a single course, right, is equal to my statement. And we want to say fetch. You can fetch or you can fetch all. Right? Fetch will just get a single row. Fetch all will get all of the data back out. So for now, we'll just say fetch and just get one here. Okay? Then when you're done, you want to make sure you close the statement with this close cursor. So we prepare the query, we execute the query, we get the results, and then we close the cursor. Yeah, let's just do courses. Let's fetch all. Why not? We'll have all of the courses here with the fetch all. Okay? And then we're done. Okay? Then what we want to do, now down in our code here, in our body, let's add maybe a new paragraph. Sure, why not? And in here, let's build, we can just make a table. So make a table, and the table will have, let's just do a bunch of rows here. So table rows. And what we want to do here is we want to use a little for each loop. So we're going to say my PHP code block, we'll say for each, and this is going to be course. I'm sorry, courses, right, as course. So for each courses, we're going to call it course in our loop, right, using a little for each loop here. Then I put a colon in, which is my super fancy syntax here. You can do it with the curly brace, but then you also have to have a curly brace. Either's okay. I think the alternate syntax is just cleaner with our PHP tags. So we're going to say for every course in courses, let's make a row. And what we're going to put in that row is a bunch of table data. Right? So the first one here, we're going to then say another PHP block. We're going to echo the course. And now when you get a database result back, this is essentially a dictionary. That doesn't mean a whole lot because we haven't talked about data types in PHP. But we're going to say, hey, course, and it's not index of, it's like key of. So we're going to say key of, and what's the field? So in the course table, what's the field we want to display? What's the column name? We have ID. So we'll say ID. That's our ID. I will echo that one out. And that table data. And we're going to do this for all of our rows here. So again, if you're not familiar with HTML tables, don't sweat it. You'll be okay. Nope, not a comment. So we have an ID. We have a name, a number, a credits, and a department. So probably, I think we did what? Department, number, name, credits. So department, number, name, credits. We need one more here. We have department. We have number. We had name, and we had credits. So I'm going to do some table headers here too. We need that in the table row, sorry. Table row, we'll do a bunch of table headers. We'll do ID. I'm just going to repeat all that. So here's ID, department, number, name, credits. Why does it want to comment? ID, department, number, name, and credits. Again, this is just to make it look pretty here, okay? So just so we have the nice little table headers going on, and then for every course, we're going to have the rows where you have the ID, department, name, number, credits that we're getting out of the result. Yeah, they're the key. So it's in a dictionary, you have a key and an associated value. It's like a mapping type. Again, you probably haven't dealt with them too much, and that's okay. Is it case sensitive? You know, I don't actually remember if it's case sensitive or not. It's a good question. Trying to remember. Does it say? No, I'm not sure. We could try it and see for sure. And then what's cool, if you're using this colon syntax here, so instead of it being like a curly brace, like you would have, hey, this is, you know, a block of code that belongs to it, we just put a colon. And then when we're done with that, we go back to a PHP block and we say end for each. And that will go and end it here without having to be like just a curly brace, which is going to look kind of funny. And if you just have a curly brace there, it's a little awkward to kind of line up here. So this way it lines up a little nice, like here's a for each, here's the end for each. Essentially the same thing, but this I think is more common. Looks just a little bit cleaner perhaps, if you agree. Right? So we'll go and we'll get courses here. Right? We'll fetch all and then we'll close the cursor. So I've saved it as a variable. Now I can use it in here. Yeah, credits is lowercase, so we will find out, right? Credits is lowercase, all the other ones were uppercase, but we'll find out. So now we'll see if we can get the courses out of our database. Oh, can't find credits, right? Undefined array key. There is no capital C credits. That's lowercase c credits. Try that again. There we go. Look at that, and this is our table, right? These are the table headers. These are the table rows. Each row has the table data that matches up here. Sure. You okay with that so far? And again, maybe we want to add border 1. That's probably right. I'm terrible at HTML. There we go. That adds a nice little border here. Again, pretty is optional. Functional is what we're looking for. Okay, that's the goal, is that we're functionally being able to interact with the database, right, and do the server-side web technology, PHP and JSP. To make it pretty, go take the web design class, right? Go learn all about that and making it pretty later. Is that fair? And again, I don't teach it. I'm not good at that sort of thing, so I'm not even going to bother. Is that fair? Cool. So now we have a list of courses. So maybe we want to say something, right? Like, how about a header? This is our course list. Headers are just kind of ways to make it look pretty. There we go, course list. And pretty is a stretch here. This is definitely not a pretty website. Just slightly more organized here. Okay. So now, yeah, back end is a lot more fun than front end. Now what we want is a way to add a course. Right? So we've selected here. We want to be able to add a course. Excuse me. Yeah, we could do that. You know what? Let's do one more thing here. Let's add a little clause here. So what I want to do is I want to add a form. So I'm just going to go steal the form I have over here, essentially, and put it in here. What we're going to do is we're going to send this back to index.php as a GET request. Because this is just going to get data. This is going to be read-only. We're adding a little filter here. So we'll say this is a department. And we'll pass that as department. And we'll call this, filter. We'll say, okay, I want to send the data back to myself as a GET request with a given department. Okay, so what we can do is we can try and check to see if we got that data. Right, so let's go and get that out of our filter input here. Sure, somewhere in here, right? And we want to get department. There's no special int or anything like that. Just get the department. Here, we'll call that department. Department here. Okay. And then what we can do is we can use this in our query. So instead of it just being a boring query here, right, we'll say, hey, select star from course, we'll say where department is equal to, and now we're going to do something. So we could say append in here department. Okay, this is super dangerous. Please don't ever do this. Okay, this is the wrong thing to do, right? Danger zone. Doing it that way. Okay, because if you're taking some input from somebody and just jamming it into a SQL query, you are putting yourself at risk of someone malicious giving you some really bad stuff to put in. Right? There's all sorts of, they call them SQL injection attacks, where you pass something that tells SQL to do something very specific and usually very, very malicious. Right? There's this idea we need to sanitize our inputs and check for our inputs. So the way to do that is we write a query here, and we'll say select star for department, where department equal, and then we put in a colon, and we say department. Then what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the query, and now we're going to go do a substitution. Okay, we're going to tell our statement here, we want to bind a value. So we're going to say, hey, take this query and go substitute for me. Where you see department here is the first one. Sorry, quote department. Please instead use my department variable. Okay, so this here, because the PHP data objects knows that this is a risk, and the fine folks who wrote PHP for us, this is our protection against SQL injection, right? Right. The colon is, I think it's important. You know, I don't actually know that for sure. That's a good question. I feel like it's indicating it's a substitute variable, because colons are a really weird thing to have in queries. And we just ran out of funny characters. But I don't know that for sure. That's a good question. I'd have to go Google it. Okay, but now the problem is if I didn't give you a department, yeah, like that's not great, right? If I didn't pass a department, maybe I want all of them. Right? Okay, so we have options here. The first one is we do an if. We say if department is equal to an empty string, else we'll do this thing. If it's an empty string, just select star from courses. There's no where clause. Sure. Otherwise, use the where clause, prepare the query, and then bind the value. Then we'll go and execute. So we'll get either the department with the where clause, or we'll get everything. The rest of it should still be the same. So let's run it. We get our list, right? And if I filter here for like courses that are English courses, there's no courses there. How about CIS courses? I get them all. If I just filter with nothing here, right? If it's empty, I get all of them again. Right? And again, that's a query string parameter, so I could pass that into the query string up here and mess around with it and have a little bit of fun. Oh, so we probably need to add a paragraph here. Or maybe even just a break. Maybe just a BR. Just to give it a little bit of visual space there. There we go. Breaks it up a little bit better. And maybe that's like filter by department or something. I don't know what we want to call it. Like filter by department. So right now it's not very interesting because we only have those CIS courses. But let's go add one. So again, we haven't written our add form yet, and that's okay. So let's just go add it here. We'll go to course. And we want to insert. Sure, ID, we're going to leave blank. That's auto-generated. So how about we make this an English course? How about English 1510? We go composition, position 1, credits. Is it a 3-credit course? I forget. It doesn't actually matter. Okay, so we added it. And this insert into is going to be helpful in a minute. Now I come back to our page and I refresh and I get an English course. Now if I want to filter for CIS courses, I get just CIS. If I want to filter for English, I can just get English. If I want to filter for nothing, filter for nothing. Right, so we're actually, whatever is in the database right now is being represented on our website. It's getting everything that's in there and spitting it out to the screen. Which is pretty cool. You folks with me so far? This is, it starts to get super fun now. Like, once we're able to connect to a database and run queries, the possibilities are just huge of what we can do, because the database is where we should be storing information, right? That's what databases are for. They're for storing data, right? I keep all my dad jokes in a database. That was a free one, right? So we need our web technology to be able to talk to the database to get results from the database and do some of these restrictive queries, right? Do some basic filtering. Nothing super exciting there, but that's okay, right? Okay, so now let's look at adding a course. Okay, let's come in here. Let's add another form. Why not? Let's send this to add course. Add course PHP, and we're going to post. So because when we're doing submitting data, right, we need to make it hard to hit refresh and do it again. And that's essentially what we use the post for. It's not entirely the case. Post gives you more space as well for adding lots of things. If you have 2 departments, could you use an option button as filters? Click on the English option button and it filters for only English? Sure. So you can do all sorts of fun things. The problem we have right now is it's only filtering by actually sending a request to the page and essentially reloading the page. Because the form submits to itself, we're re-triggering that page to load, which means PHP is going to rerun all of this. So if you had an option button, like the button would have to go and essentially be a submit button, right? That goes back to itself. So you could hard code one in instead of being a text box. You could just have a button for CIS and a button for English. Sure, you could do them that way, but you need a way to differentiate which one is which here with your buttons. And there's ways to do it. That's not too bad of an idea, actually. It might be kind of fun. But a fun thing here, let's try this real quick, just for fun. If I put in star, I get nothing. If you put in a % sign, you get nothing. Okay, it is blocking that. It's filtering. So the % sign, oh, it might not work with our where, never mind. So with PHPMyAdmin, let's go back, let's just search courses, do some SQL here. Do select star from course where, let me say department equals percent sign. Why did that not work? Not star, is it? Star? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So the equal sign here is the problem. So if you say like lets you use a wildcard operator, which is super cool, which is the percent sign. That's what it is here. So if you say like, and then you can use a wildcard here, so we could say like C percent sign is a wildcard. So C anything is going to match here. So maybe it'd be better to change our query to use the like. Department like. And then what we could do, we could take our department here, and before we bind it, we're going to take department, and we're going to append the percent character. This appending here, let's add the percent sign for us. So let's go add another class here. Let's go insert another course here. How about, oh goodness, another department with a C. Should really know better. Or another department with an E. I pick bad ones. How about, we'll just call it com. Why not? Com 2000 communications for 3 credits. I'm just making it up. That's okay. Sure. Do we actually have com? Is that a real course? Or are those English classes? Maybe they are com classes. Right, we go back to our SQL, right? We select our department like C percent sign. Now we're going to get all the C ones here. Com, okay, com is a department, that's right. Yeah, it's professional communication, right? Is that 1290 or something? Really should, or 2200, I don't know. I shouldn't know these numbers. It's not the sort of thing you need to have in your head. So now you can use this like clause. This wildcard is really cool. So that's just our wildcard. We're searching with the like instead of equals matching. So wildcards are cool. So if they gave us something, let's just add a percent sign here and see what we get. All right. Anyway, we're going to add a course. So we needed all sorts of information here for course. So we need the department. We need the number. We need the name. Why comments? No. Like some weird auto highlight there. Department, we need the number, we need the name, and we need the credits. So department, number, name, and credits. Department. Okay, we add all that here, and we're going to add course. And that'll be our button. We'll submit to the add course PHP page. We're going to post all of this information, whatever we type in here. So let's go add that add course. Add course.php. Now, again, we need to connect to the database. So I'm going to copy paste some code and feel bad about myself, but that's okay. Let's just grab all of that, essentially. Okay, so we don't need the query here. We don't need the else. Okay. So if we want to add something, right, we're going to do the similar idea. We're going to write a query, but it's an insert. So we're going to say insert into course. And remember, you have to give it the parenthesis list. So this is what we talked about last week. If you're going to insert data, like when we inserted that new com course, right? Let's add another one. How about math 1740? Is that one Calc 2? I don't know, for 4 credits? I forget. It's 2, 3, or 4, whichever one. So this is the command. This says insert into course. Here's the fields, values. We're not going to bother that ID null because that's silly. So we're going to insert these values here. Right, department, number, name, credits. Let's come back here. And those backticks are not actually apostrophes, which is really weird. So there's the fields, right? You list all the fields in your insert, and then we say values, and then we have to give it all the values. And then we want to do all the substitutions here. So we're going to have department, We're going to have number, we're going to have name, and we're going to have credits. Okay, we're going to prepare the query. Now we need to go bind a bunch of values. So statement bind value, statement bind value. Oops, not bind column. Bind value. Oh, this one's department, sure. Department with department. Oh, we didn't get all the data out. Sorry, so input post here. All right, so there's department, there's name, or number, name, credits. We could make sure this one was an integer if we wanted to, but again, they're probably all fine as strings, and again, that's a little trickier than we really care to get into right now. So number, name, and credits. Because we like them as strings right now. So strings will substitute in much better than integer values. Because they're not stored. Oh, they are stored as. What do we store those as? The structure. Yeah, we stored them all as varchars, so we want them as varchars. Oh, credit was an integer. Okay, so maybe we should make that an int. We can do that. Why not? We'll make that one an int. So filter validate as an integer for credits. Okay. The other one's fine, because, you know, maybe you added some weird letters to some of your numbers or something like that. Okay, so we're going to connect. Now, if it's not nothing, right, and name or number and name and credits. Credits. Okay, so if name is not nothing, you know, actually, let's. No, we could do that up above, or that's fine. Like, if they give you nothings, don't run it, because you're going to get bad results, but that's okay. So we have name and number does not equal nothing, and name does not equal nothing, and credits does not equal 0. Because right, if we fail to validate, it should give us a 0 with our filtering. So if it's not 0 and these aren't empty, if all of that is true, right, they're all not, then we can go run this query. We'll map department to bind department to department. We'll bind number to number, name to name, and credits to credits. Number, name, credits to number, the name, and the credits. Okay, so we'll bind all that. And now we execute. So we'll say statement.execute. That runs the query for us, and then we'll close it. Statement close. Oops, yeah, so we don't want to run these other ones if that was the case. We'll catch any exception. Great. We're good to go there. Right, so that should add a course for us. Again, it's not really doing much right now, though. It's not showing us anything pretty. So what we want to do is we want to send them back to the index page. Right, so we want that to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to send them back. Here, I'm just finding that here. There we go. And so we will then, if that all works, then we're going to include index.php. So include says, hey, do this page. Right? Grab this code, go here. Right? Super cool. So we can just say, hey, go load this page for me. Let's give that a run here. So let's add a course. Right? Let's add another math course. How about 1720? We'll call that Calc 1. For 4 credits, we'll add the course. Oh, error in our SQL syntax. Near mat calc 4. So we had a database syntax error. Oh, that's a bummer. Values. Oh, it needs to be in parentheses. Right, I forgot to copy better off of this. Off our insert. Oh, I already missed the insert. Where'd it go? Sure, we'll add another one here. How about math 1500? Was that finite mathematics? Finite mathematics for 4 credits or something. There we go. So yeah, values get a set of parentheses. Let's give that a shot. Okay, so for math, for 1720 or something, we'll call that Calc 1 for 4 credits. Oh, so close. Undefined method, close. Oh, hey little babies. Is Jack being mean to you? Say hi. Say hi. Aww. Oh no. Hi. Sorry Jack was being a bully. You can hang out in here. Alright, so we're close, so can't close on line 30. Didn't close. Oh, I'm sorry, it's close cursor. Close cursor. There we go. So, but what probably happened here, let's take a peek. If we go back, we have it though. It's there. So, the insert worked, but the close part failed and errored, so it didn't actually take us back to the page. So let's try one more time to add another course here. Let's add, how about 1580? 1580, let's add stats, or statistics. And now we see we're still on add course PHP, but it loaded the index page. So the include essentially says, hey, take everything from there and just jam it in. So we're still on add course, and now we can filter if we want. So let's filter by M. We get all the math courses. Filter by C, we get the CIS courses. Filter by CIS, we get the CIS courses. Filter by nothing, we get all of them. Those ones are taking us to index here. Okay. You feeling okay so far? And that was adding. So we used, we could have probably posted back to index and done more work here in index, but that feels a little funny. Or the idea we want to kind of separate these things out and make the different pieces that are responsible for different things responsible for them. Now, what doesn't feel great is we have this multiple times, right? That's not lovely. Not a big fan of that. Right? So what we can do here then is we can separate this out, and we can, just like we included our index page, where did that go? Oh, we included the index page, we can include all of this other stuff that we need to set up our database. We're going to make a new PHP file called database, and then the database is going to do that stuff for us, which is super cool. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to go up here. We're going to grab the data source, username and password. We'll throw that in here. And then it's going to try to connect. Try to connect. If it doesn't connect, we're going to catch. And what we're going to do instead of echoing something right now, we're going to say we want to include a database error page. Totally ripping it off the book, by the way, but that's okay. And then exit says, hey, stop. Don't do anything else. So we include the database error, and we stop. We don't do anything else. Then we can add a new database error page. Database error page. And all this one is going to do is say something bad happened. Oh no, right? Like, let's grab some HTML here. Sure. I don't know, H2, bad thing. Okay, and then we can spit out that error message. Paragraph. Okay, here's the error message. And we can echo it out. PHP echo error message. Okay, and the body, and end the HTML. Right, bad thing happened. Right, or couldn't connect, or whatever it happens to be, right? So then if something bad happens, we'll catch it, include the database error, exit out. So what's kind of happening here is we're trying to keep PHP code separate from HTML. So this is all PHP code here. This one is essentially all HTML with like an echo. So that's why we have two different files, right? We could have just done all of that here in database, but we don't have to. It's okay. We want the error and then we want stop. So then what we can do here is we don't need to redo any of this. We'll still get our department, and then we don't need our own try block because we're already doing the catch. Let's see, where that there then. So then to use it here, we're going to go include this, because I want to grab all the database stuff and use it. So in our code, what we want to do for that to set up the connection here is we want to use this require. So we're going to require database.php. It's similar to an include, but it's saying, hey, you have to load this here or nothing is going to work. Right? Run all this code here, or nothing's going to work. Okay, so let's give that a shot. Let's give that a little format, a little prettier now. Okay, so nothing failed. We're good so far, right? We get our page and with this other format. So now we can go to add course. We can do the same thing and require database instead of having to do all this stuff here with that try block. We don't need more comments here. Sure. We don't need username, password. Okay. Oh, that formatted a little funny. That should be bumped in. Oh yeah, we got too many curly braces now. There we go. Okay, that looks a little prettier. Right, so we get our main page here. Let's go add a course. How about CIS? Let's do 1500. Intro to programming for 4 credits. Oh, we already have that. We already have 1500. How about 2151? Object-oriented programming. Did programming for 4 credits. There we go. And then again, we can filter. We can do all sorts of fun stuff there. CIS com classes. We can filter on no classes or no department, right? That sort of thing. All right, how you folks feeling? So we've done select, we've done insert. Oh, why did that all go away? Okay. There's also update, and there's also delete. Okay, so let's go add some more code here. Let's do a update course. All right, awesome. Glad it's feeling good. So it's essentially the same thing here, but now to update a course, we need the department, the number, the name, the credits. We also want the ID here. And that should be an integer, right? So let's grab ID. Then instead of inserting, what we're going to do, we're going to say update course. Right, that's update command here. So we're going to update course. We're going to say set department equal to :department. Number equal to number. Nope. Number equal :number. Name equals :name. And credits equal :credits. And we need to add a where clause. Where ID is equal to ID. So if you give me the course ID here, like course ID 1, course ID 2, course ID 3, then I'll go update the rest. Okay? We'll prepare the query, we'll bind our values, so I think we need to add a bind for ID. For ID and ID. And also only if ID does not equal 0, right? And all of this is true. We could probably have some other better error message here, like, hey, that failed. I don't know. Go back. I don't know. We could do something better, but this is our check to make sure nothing wrong happens. Okay. So then we'll go to our form, and let's go add another form here then. So instead of an add course, let's do an update course. Update course. And I don't know. The update course. What should we do those as so that they're separate? Yeah, we should give some titles there. Add course, update course. So we need all of this stuff. We also need an ID here. Is ID. We'll call that ID. Submits to update course. Cool. See if that works for us. So let's say, okay, let's go update a course. Let's update course number. How about course number 7? Let's set its department to math to 1730. I don't know. Sure, why not? Calc 1 for 4 credits. Update the course. Ooh, uh-oh. Your credits equal 4, where ID equals 7. Okay. It's all right. Our update has a SQL error. Update course set department, number, name. Ah, missing our comma. Comma, credits, where. Okay, update course. Oh, goodness. Unknown column department. Ah, that's the capitals biting me here. Yep. So that's unfortunate. That needs to be very specific here with the capital letters, doesn't it? So I'm actually going to go do this. I'm going to make these all lowercase here. Name and credits, and fix that. And make them all lowercase. Department, number, name. It's going to drive me nuts otherwise. We'll come back to PHP MyAdmin. We'll go to the structure. Let's see if we can fix this up here. I'm going to change. Is that going to do it for me? Change. There we go. Let's change the name to the lowercase d department. And change number to lowercase n number. And again, you could do all this in SQL, right? It's so nice. It shows you all the SQL that it's running here. Right? Alter table, of course, change. Sure. And then name, we'll change name to lowercase n name. And so this is actually built in PHP, right? This whole MySQL admin, which is super cool. That like it interacts with SQL kind of like and gives you this pretty website for it. All right, anyway, let's see now if that's working for us. So let's go refresh or start it again. Close out some of the other ones. Okay, so we still get our list. We still get filtering. That all worked. We'll add a course here. Let's add CIS 2252. Or CIS 2252. It's C++ programming. For 4 credits, we'll add a course. All right, add still works. Now let's try update. Let's update math 1720. We'll call that calc. ID. Sorry, ID 1 department math. Nope. ID 7. I'm going too fast. Sorry, folks. ID 7 math. The number 17. We'll say that maybe that's 1730, right? For calc 1 and for 4 credits. Let's update. Oh goodness. Unknown department. Still can't type, folks. Department. So that should be department. Okay, we'll go back. Update. There we go. Now we have 1730 as calc. Update should not give an input field for ID restricted to the existing entries. Oh yeah. So we can do all sorts of other really cool things where like this is a drop-down box. We haven't got there yet. We're just starting with some basics, and then we'll work on making this prettier as we progress through our projects here, giving drop-downs and doing all sorts of good stuff here. Right? Because if you give an ID that doesn't exist, right? Oh, nothing happened. Or these were blank, right? So department, math, number, 123, ASDF 5 or something, right? Nothing updated. Right? That if never even ran. Oh no, that would have run, right? It just didn't get any results. Update did nothing. right? So no big deal. All right, so let's update, and then delete again. We can do a similar one. Let's go delete here. Add a new delete course page. We'll essentially steal all of this, but all we need is an ID here to delete. And that says delete from course where ID equals ID. And we'll bind ID, we'll execute, we'll close the cursor. So if you give me an ID, I'll go try and delete it. So let's go back to our index page. We'll add another form here for delete course. This is delete course. And all you need to give it is an ID. You know, maybe we could give it all of the fields, like just to confirm, but this is probably easier to just delete by ID. Sure. We could say, hey, only do it, delete where ID is ID, course is course, or name is name, and department is department, and number is number, name is name, but, that just makes it harder to use. I think this is maybe a little easier for us to use. So we'll go delete. How about delete number 7? Delete the course. Oh, shoot, it went to update course. This should go to delete course. All right, try that again. Go back. Delete course 7. Nope, still into update course. Did I not refresh? Say, I got to run it again. Sorry. Run it again. There we go. Let's delete course 7. Right, let's delete that calc 1. It's gone. We deleted it. Cool. So now we've done the CRUD. We've done read or create. We've done read. We've done update. We've done delete with course list. Okay, you folks all right so far? Yeah, that's okay if they're out of order. No big deal. No number 7. It's gone. RIP. Ripperoni. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do, I'm going to give you all of this code here in GitHub. This is the college registration. Commit and push. So you can use this as the starting point. You're welcome to do that. If you want to type it on your own, perfectly fine. If you want to start with this, that's fantastic. Let's come back to D2L here. And let's go to assignment 2. Due in 2 weeks, so that's the 17th at 6 p.m. Here, go add a grade. You just go to the GitHub repo. That's 2454. No, not the winter one. You want the summer one. You go here, and you can see them all. Right, here's the college registration project. You can go, probably easiest just to copy paste. If you want, you can clone the repository and copy files, but it's not a whole lot to just copy paste. Either way, totally up to you. Right, either should be fine. So we're going to say using as a starting point, or write it yourself, whatever you prefer. Add more functionality to our college registration program. We're going to add a CRUD operations for student, section, and enrollment. Okay, so you need to be able to create students, read students, update students, delete students. You need to be able to create sections, read sections, update sections, delete sections. And be able to create enrollments, read enrollments, update enrollments, and delete enrollments. Okay? So let me go, you're going to add a submission here. So I'm going to give you that classroom link here. 1 second. Classroom, there we go. Give me half a second. I got to get that link for you to create a new repository. Where'd it go here? This one here ought to do it. All right, so here's the invite link. There we go. You create your repository. You submit the URL to your feedback pull request, along with a self-assessment using the rubric. Assessment in the rubric. Okay? Yeah, CRUD is create, read, update, and delete. Create, read, update, delete. For student section, enrollment. Okay, I think that's all the tables we had. Let me double check. There's the... Come on, PHP MyAdmin, where'd you go? Did I close it? Closed it. PHP MyAdmin. Sure. Yeah, course enrollment section student. Cool. It's an acronym except for when you program it, then it's actual CRUD. Nice. I like it. Okay, so we've done course, right? It's going to be a lot of essentially a copy paste, but you know, case sensitive. That sort of stuff is picky. You know, getting a chance to make the files. You know, it's going to take some time. So it's not supposed to be a difficult project, but it's supposed to give us a good launching point for, okay, now I have a website that can interact with my database. Now we can start adding more features. Okay, that's kind of the goal here. So let's go back to here, and I want to go, I want the assignment list here. Give me 1 second. I gotta go grab that other assignment. Where'd it go? There we go. One. Cool. So project 1 was 13 points here. So we've got, when I do this rubric, I want to make this work better. I'm going to create a new rubric for project 2. This is complete, and this is missing. Okay, so 5 points if you have it, no points if you don't have it. So it's CRUD operations for student. So create, read, update, delete. 1 point for each, plus or 1.25 points for each, I guess. So CRUD operations for sections, and CRUD operations for enrollments. Okay, so 15 points for this one, worth just a teeny bit more than the other one here. I didn't want it to be worth 12, but it'll be worth less. That'd be sad. Okay, so go build out the database like we have, or like we've been doing here, right? You can use this course portion, right, if you want, for doing the course operations. So you're probably going to want to add some pages to make index be not some giant ugly monster, right? Maybe index would then take us to a course PHP page, which is this, and maybe index could take us to, you know, have some links, that sort of thing. There we go. Let's do that. Let's do that. So we'll have to clean this up here. We can update the rubric. I like that. So those will be 4 points each there. And then we're going to add, have an index page that links out to a main management page for each course, section, student enrollment. We're going to use a navigation header that is included in each other page. So the idea, like how we included this or required the database PHP, we can add a little page here that has a bunch of links, right? For, hey, click here for courses, click here for sections, click here for students, click here for that. So you can do that at the head of all of these index pages, essentially like a course index, a section index, that sort of thing. I mean, I guess we can get, okay, we'll get started on that. So I'm going to rename this one here to course index. And I need to make sure all of those redirects then don't go to index, they go to course index as well. Course index, add course is fine, update course is fine, delete course is fine. And then all of these ones then need to include course index for add, update, and delete. Okay, and then I'm going to add a new index page, which is actually really kind of a boring page. There's not a whole lot to it. We can include navigation. Maybe, okay, this is probably where that should go then, right? Welcome to our school. We put that in as a new paragraph, I guess. Okay, so we need a navigation PHP. And I'll add that navigation PHP file. Navigation, and all that has to do here then is have a link. So that's an href is our link here. A equals is it course.php or no, course-index.php. I think that's what we called it. Index.php courses slash a. Oh, that's a href. I'm backwards here. Sorry. Href. Right. That's it. And that's not super interesting right now because we only have the one. But now we have a courses link. That'll take us to the course index. So then in course index, we can also include this navigation. Maybe we'll add one for home, right? A href equals index.php. Call that one home / a. And then here, we can include that as well on our index page. Does that make sense? How we're kind of combining these? So there's the courses list. It has the same navigation bar. We can just kind of piecemeal these together here as we go. You can add more links as you go. Okay? So I kind of give most of that to you. That's okay. We just need to keep modifying it here. Some free points are okay. Right? Index page links out to the main page for management for each navigation header. All right, fine. I'm okay with that. So it'll be 16 points total. All right. Oh, goodness. 16 points. No. Click in the other box. 16. There we go. All right. Questions, thoughts, concerns? We've got hopefully a good starting point here. So this is navigation here. Commit and push. Again, because we don't have a prereq for databases, we don't have a prereq for HTML, I'm in a weird place. So I want to give you essentially stuff you can just model off of and build off of. Because I'm not sure it'd be fair otherwise. Okay? All right. Got any other thoughts? You folks are doing okay? We got the quiz to work on. I'll post the next quiz as well. So we'll have 2 quizzes. Start the project. Start early. I got lots of questions yesterday Not as many questions today. I was pretty happy, but lots of questions yesterday. Some of you folks left Project 1 get down to the wire. So do start early. Definitely a suggestion for you there. And we can have at it. Should be fun. Where did it go here? There we go. Let's see who else is around on Twitch. We can go pester somebody else in a raid for fun. And then we'll call it a night. I'm gonna go check out Boyd. He's having fun. Does some cool manufacturing stuff. Aid Boyd's custom fab. Is that it? I don't remember.
About that.
Yeah. Gotta get that on mute. Alright, folks. You take care. I'll see you around. If you have questions, let me know. I got office hours Monday and Wednesday, 3 to 4:30 and 10 to 11 p.m. Feel free to reach out to me then or try and schedule an appointment another time. Hey, thanks so much for following CMS. You folks take care. I'll see you over at Boyd's channel.